Okay, so you've had a thought and it scared the pants off you. I get it. I've been there so many times, truly, believe me. And so many other people have. I have clients every single day who are having intrusive thoughts that scare the pants off them. So, if that's you, we are here to talk about how to stop being afraid of those thoughts. Now, it's easier said than done, but it's totally doable. And so, what I want us to focus on here is one core concept to get us started, and then we're going to talk about actual skills. So, here's the main thing you are going to need to remember when it comes to having intrusive thoughts that are terrifying. The thing that gets most of us stuck is it's not what you think, but let's get there. It's the expectation that you shouldn't have them. Now, what do I mean by that? When you have an intrusive thought, you have this underlying belief. You didn't even know it was there. It wasn't conscious thought, but you have this underlying belief that I should only have these joyful, pure, happy, kind thoughts. And I get it. We are good people. You're a good person. I know you're a good person. And so when you have these thoughts, they don't line up with who you are, what you love, what matters to you. And because you've had the expectation that you'll only have thoughts that line up with your values, you are terrified. You're confused. You hate them. You start to think there's something wrong with your brain. And that expectation is what we have to fix straight up, front and center, if we're going to get anywhere in this world. So if you're somebody like me, and I know you are because you're listening to this, so you're watching this, you're somebody whose brain has glitches. It's not that there's anything wrong with your brain, but your brain has glitches. And sometimes, more regularly than we like, it is going to throw at us a thought that is so odd, is so alarming that we don't know what to do with it. And the first expectation is to accept that we are going to have some pretty crazy random thoughts. Maybe not your best friend, maybe not your mom, maybe not your cousin, but you and I, and there is a group of select millions of people whose brain tends to throw at us really intense, really vivid, really alarming thoughts. And that is normal. It's not a problem. We have to shift the expectation that you shouldn't have them, and we're going to move the expectation to some of us lucky things, our lucky little hearts, get to have these thoughts, and it means nothing about us. Nothing, zip, nada, not a thing, not a soul, zero means nothing about us. And that is the first piece. So we got that? The first step, let's review what we know so far. The first step is you are going to have these thoughts and they mean nothing about you. And we have to adjust our expectation that it's actually normal for us to have these thoughts. It's going to be a part of being a human being. Okay, we good? We can move on. Number 2, let's say, or let's just start with skills. So let's talk about actual realistic, helpful skills to help you stop being afraid of your thoughts. Well, that expectation shift is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Truly, a lot of the heavy lifting. Because if you maintain the expectation that you shouldn't have those thoughts, you are going to keep being afraid. Now, if you're willing to be curious and flexible and start to change that expectation, we are on the way. The second piece here is, remember, the thought itself is not the problem. I'll repeat that again. The thought, the intrusive thought, even if it's so stinking heinous, it's so awful that you can't even believe your brain came up with it, right? We have to remember that the thought is not the problem because we've already accepted that all humans have some crazy thoughts. How we respond to it is going to be the other 50% of this work. So the first 50% is changing our expectations. The second 50% is changing how we respond to it if and when it happens. When it happens, what we want to do is explore what is my reaction and how can I make it in a way that breaks the cycle. So what do I mean by that? When you have this intrusive thought, if your reaction is to clench up, to squint your eyes, to say, that's terrible, why do I have that? Something's wrong with me. I'm an idiot. What's wrong? Something must be broken in my brain. You horrible person. And your whole response is contraction and resistance. You are actually reinforcing that fear. What I mean by that is if you have the fear and you respond to that as if it's dangerous, your brain's not only going to keep sending that thought, but your brain's going to continually dump out cortisol and all of these anxiety hormones into your body when you have it next time, because you've sort of trained your brain to say this is like super bad and we shouldn't be having this. So think of it like if you're a kid and every time you spilt milk, let's just use that example, and someone yelled at you for that, next time you spill the milk, you're going to have an immediate response of anxiety because you're going to be anticipating being yelled at. So if you have an intrusive thought and in the past you've done nothing but sort of yell at yourself and contract and resist and create a lot of response to it, your brain's going to be now anxious every single time you have that thought, if that metaphor helps. Okay, so we're working here on changing our response. What we want to do is we want to practice responding as if that thought means zero, nada, nothing, like we talked about. It means nothing about us. It means nothing about our future. I know it's incredibly intense and you have a lot of emotions and a lot of anxiety and a lot of uncertainty. Even though you have those experiences and emotions, we are going to practice responding as if this intrusive thought and feeling is not a problem. So you're going to have to do some heavy lifting to start. And it will be heavy lifting. It will be hard, but I guarantee you it will be worth it because you are retraining your brain on how to respond. So what would that look like? So if I had already accepted that all people have these thoughts and that it's not a problem and that it's not an alarm that needs to be responded to, I might sort of carry on with my day. I might even laugh a little bit and be like, whoa, that was a big one. Holy moly. Now, we've done episodes on your anxiety toolkit about ways to respond, like actual things to say. We call them non-engagement responses. So you can click in the show notes about that, or you can go to that video if you're watching on YouTube and learn more about how to have like a non-engagement response. So it might be like, whoa, that was wild, just like you'd seen like a funny ad on the TV and you're just like, holy moly, that was wild. And then you redirect your attention back to what you were doing. You redirect your attention to being kind and joyful and getting the thing done that you needed to do. Now, this again will take practice, but it's a learnable skill. We're learning how to practice not being afraid. Now, if you've typed this into Google and you've happened to just find this episode, you're probably hoping there was just this magical bullet that's going to stop you from being afraid. And it's very unlikely that that's going to actually be helpful because we can't trick our brain into not being afraid. If that was already something, you would have worked that out already. There's no magic bullet that stops people from being afraid of their thoughts. It's a learned choice that we make, that I am going to commit to changing how I respond to this thought. I'm going to commit and change my response in this moment as a gift to myself. And that's the work. So it's relaxing your body language, so dropping your shoulders, maybe putting a gentle smile on your face. It's not pushing them away, not judging them as bad. You're going to practice allowing them to be there because we changed our expectations. We're saying it's okay that we have them. And we're going to practice redirecting our attention back to whatever it is that we were doing. We're ultimately not treating it like it's important. And that is the key. You are going to need to be so gentle with yourself and acknowledge a part of this compassion work. A lot of what I do when I'm working with clients is really talking about how can we be a gentle soul towards ourselves? How can we be the loving, kind, sweetest person to ourselves while we experience this uncomfortable feeling? And that will often mean we're going to slow down and acknowledge, like, yeah, it makes complete sense that I'm anxious. It makes complete sense that this was alarming to me because I value these things in my life. I can really not want these thoughts, but also allow them at the same time. This is a goal that we want to have, this flexibility to have two opposing things happen at the same time. So that is the work. Now, that is the other 50%. But here is what I need you to remember. This must be practiced on repeat. So if you do this a couple times and then you're like, I can't do this anymore, it's not working. Again, we've got to shift that expectation because the definition of working isn't the elimination of these thoughts. You're going to have them. You're going to have these intrusive thoughts. It doesn't mean anything about you. You have to be willing to have them over and over again and continue and repetitively, in a disciplined way, respond over and over and be like, I see you again. I see you again. There you are again. I see you. Yes, yes, yes. I see you again. And keep returning, right? That's the attention control that we talk about. Now, we do talk about this a lot in our online course called the Rumination Reset. And the skill we're using there is called attention control. It's you acknowledging the uncomfortable thing in your present moment and bringing your attention, having the control of your attention to bring it to this present moment or whatever you're doing. And that is a discipline that you have to practice. There are so many people on the internet right now. It drives me bonkers. There are coaches and therapists saying like, oh, I have this one-time trick you can use, this one-time cure. I did this one thing. And then like magically my anxiety went away. And then so many people feel like, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working for me? It's my thoughts keep coming back. Nothing is sort of this magical cure. And I want to sort of bring back to to it being cool that sometimes we have to practice things over and over for them to work. That these quick fixes that we're being sold are exactly that. They're quick fixes. They don't actually work. And this is about sort of normalizing repetitive work, this repetitive sort of mental work that we have to do to gain the ability to have any intrusive thought and not be afraid of it. And that's my goal for you. My goal is to get you to be able to have literally any thought, even the most heinous thought, and still be the gentlest, kindest version of yourself towards yourself. That it doesn't mean you abandon yourself. It doesn't mean you lose trust, and that you repetitively, almost like stubbornly, that's what I want. I want you to stubbornly reject the idea that we're going to judge yourself or beat yourself up or try to resist it. And we are going to stubbornly allow it and keep bringing our attention to what's happening. And by doing that on repeat is where you can stop being afraid of those thoughts. I will give you my own example here, there is literally no thought I am not willing to have. There is literally no thought that will make me beat myself up. I've made that commitment many years ago, and it has served me through some of the most difficult times of my life, through some of the most disgusting, intrusive thoughts that I have had. I have made the commitment that no matter what thought I have, I am committed to just staying there and being open and breathing and allowing and not assigning meaning to it. So that's your work. And I hope it's something that you commit to. Now, again, if you're interested, head over to CBT School or the link in the show notes and connect to the Rumination Reset if you want to go deeper into learning these skills. It is about a 2-hour course that will go deep, deep, deep into this step by step. But if that's not what's good for you, please just stay here and I will continue to bring out hopefully really helpful content that will help you in your anxiety journey. Thank you so much for being here. I know how valuable your time is. Please do subscribe. That means the most to me. Please do share this with any human being that you think it will help bring them a little reduction in suffering, because that is my goal. My goal is to help as many people as I can suffer less. And thank you so much for being here. As always, we say at the end of every episode, it is a beautiful day to do these really freaking hard things. And I hope that you gift yourself with that. All right, I'll see you in the next one.